I'm super excited about today's guests on Hype Girl Energy, Susan, Belger, Angulo, and Elizabeth Mayer with HappyBottoms. They are the co-executive directors for the organization. Ladies, welcome. My first duo guest.
Thank you.
Thanks for saying yes. Thanks for being here. Let's just start with HappyBottoms. Talk to me a little bit about the organization and how you both ended up there as co-executive directors.
Well, I'll start. HappyBottoms is Kansas City's only diaper bank. We provide diapers for families who can't afford diapers. And we provide almost over 500,000 diapers a month to over 7,000 families in our 6-county community that we serve. I ended up at HappyBottoms, as the luck has it. I left the Children's Center for the Visually Impaired, was looking for a job. Unbeknownst to me, I had a family tie with the executive director founder of HappyBottoms that I didn't know about until I had my very first interview with her. And the first thing she said to me was, "I know you better than you think I do." That's scary in and of itself.
Oh my gosh, I got some chills down my legs. What a comment.
That is.
And Elizabeth, what about you?
I joined HappyBottoms in 2022. I had also been at the Children's Center for the Visually Impaired. I'd been there 26 years, and things changed in the leadership at CCVI, and I no longer had a job, so was out volunteering at HappyBottoms and working for the census, worked for United Way for a while, would talk to Susan pretty often, and one day she was like, "Oh yeah, the new thing with the grant writer didn't work out, and I have to figure out what I'm gonna do." And I said, "Well, funny you should mention that. I just found out that the program I'm working for United Way with is ending." And so I threw my hat in the ring. It was going to be my dream part-time job, but things changed rather quickly.
Here's the excitement part of that. I had tried to get Elizabeth on staff for months. I knew, because of us working together with me at CCVI over 18 years, us working very well together, I knew I wanted her on the team. It was just a matter of timing of when that would happen. And the whole funnier part is that in her mind, she was going to be the part-time grant writer. In the back of my mind, it was like, oh no, I have way more important jobs for you.
I lived that dream for 3 months. I was my grant writer for 3 months, part-time. I am still the grant writer, but I have a few other things that I'm doing as well. So joined the team, and somebody on the program team left, something else changed, and it was like, well, would you consider doing operations and programming, because that's something you used to do? And I said, sure. Because Susan says I can be kind of difficult. Really, I just have ideas and opinions. And I knew that if I passed on it, I would have ideas and opinions, and so it probably wouldn't work out very well. So I said, sure, I'm in. I will do operations and grants. So at the time, then I was director of operations and grant writing. Susan was director of development. And Jill, the founder and executive director at the time, and not unusual for a lot of nonprofits or anybody going through navigating COVID and trying to help people who needed resources. She was just ready for a change. She was just like, I am tired of the day-to-day. And she's a brilliant, strategic-minded person, and she just was ready to look into new adventures. So HappyBottoms board did an search.
There was a better story.
Oh, there's a better story. What's the better story?
The better story is
a day in the life of the dynamic.
Yes.
Oh,
no, they did a search.
So they did do a search, and we basically realized that, and the people that we were looking at were great candidates. none of them were from Kansas City. And you know, in our community, especially on the development side of things, you need to know the players of the development field in Kansas City. And so, unbeknownst to Elizabeth, after we all decided that none of the candidates were a great fit, we knew that somebody needed to step in as interim because we still had bills to pay and we still needed to write checks, and Jill was gone. And so I called the board president and said, why don't you consider letting Elizabeth and I co-interim, get our team kind of settled down, get our pieces put into place, and see what happens. And the board said yes, but here was the best part. I had not ever asked Elizabeth her thoughts.
She just hadn't had time to call me.
So the board president...
You weren't right next to each other.
No, we weren't. No, she had this idea. This was like later in the day. And
this was COVID was over. And
COVID was over. Yeah, this was 2020.
But then the board president jumped on and called her and said, well, what do you think of the idea? And Elizabeth's, what idea?
She said, oh. And so she explained the idea. I said, well, that's a great idea. Sure.
So that's how we became interim co-executive directors. And from there, Elizabeth and I always say Elizabeth is the yin to my yang. And, you know, the beauty of this partnership, and I do call it a partnership because what Elizabeth is really good at, I'm not. What I'm really good at, I mean, I think we both have great feels for things, but one of us excels in things better than the other. But together, we work so well together. And yes, sometimes we don't really ever fight, but at the same time, there are times that we will sit down and really work through a project together and compromise of what is the best thing for the organization. And as we started moving, and that was August of 2023 or 2022 that we took over, by December, our numbers were starting to really pushing forward, and the board said, why don't you guys just stay on as co-executive directors? So in January of 23, we took on as the co-executive directors of the organization.
Was there a team powwow between the two of you to discuss?
It fell into place.
It fell into place. And we have worked together long enough that it will freak out some of our staff because she'll say something and I'll go right into like the next leg of an idea and they'll be like, what just happened? Because we're thinking, you know, we're thinking pretty strategically along the same lines.
And just for example, so I was having a meeting with a donor, and the company that I'm speaking about is Thrivent, and they are sponsors of the exhibit at Union Station for the Guinness. Okay. And they were having their big client event, and they wanted us to sometimes we will take the show on the road. You can come into our organization and wrap diapers for us and help us with that whole packing process. We sometimes take the show on the road. And so she was asking if I could do a mobile wrap, which is what we call the show on the road, for 600 people at Union Station. And I immediately said yes, without really going back and asking. But I knew in my mind that, one, we wanted to be in front of these people and their clients. And so I said yes, came back to the office and said, you guys aren't going to believe what we're going to do. Let's talk about it. And we all got in the room and talked about it. The next morning, Nancy from Thrivent called and said, what if we tried to break a Guinness Book of World Records? There is a diaper cake that they did several years ago, 50,012 diapers. Do you think we can beat that? And I immediately said yes. But I said, if we can't do it big, we're not going to do it. And it has to look really great. And again, I came back to staff and said, okay, you're not going to believe what we're doing now. Let's do this diaper cake. It's one of the things that Elizabeth and I,
I'll just be like, we can do this.
We can do it.
And everybody's like, you know, the staff is like, oh my gosh. And it's like,
What
no,
are we getting
I
into?
said, we can do it. Let's just figure out what we need to do.
But what a great mindset to have around it too. Instead, like
For what it afforded us was every single television station came out to film what was happening during the entire day. We had over 51 spots on that particular Friday, and we were able to reach over 1 million viewerships in our community, which just helps us bring awareness to the organization and the good work that we do. We do one thing and we do it well. We hand out diapers to families in need.
Well, and I think that's one of the like greatest things about HappyBottoms, right? Is you have a niche and that's what you're sticking to.
Right.
And it's like, what does that look like for you guys? Like your day in, day out, how does working together to support and run the organization look like?
So I'm co-executive director and operations director. And so I'm on the warehouse side, volunteers, program, and grant writing. So it depends on the day. But our program is based on providing 75 diapers or 50 pull-ups. And those numbers represent the gap between what a family can afford for their babies and what their baby needs. And we partner with over 80 organizations around the metro. And those organizations do the direct distribution to families. We're a backbone system and organization, and we do all the fundraising. We do lots of diaper drives, lots of awareness raising, both within our community and within the state legislatively. Susan's going to tell you about some big exciting things that are going to happen
This week?
Wednesday and Thursday. So our day-to-day for us is we have a staff of 12, and in the course of a month we have anywhere from 400 to 450 volunteers come through the warehouse to help us sort, count, pack, wrap diapers, prep things to fill orders to get out to all of the social service agencies. Families just need a little bit of help, and diaper banks have only been around formally for probably 16 years. We are one of the OGs.
One of the first five.
One of the first in the country. There weren't very many, as I said, formal ones until around 2008, 2009. There is an organization called the National Diaper Bank Network. National Diaper Bank Network. And that was formed in 2012, I believe. And so we are one of the original members of that organization. And through that membership, we have tremendous buying power. So we can buy in bulk. We have opportunities to be introduced to other diaper vendors or third-party.
We can buy overages,
we can buy
extra
overages,
stock.
and so we are really able to stretch our pennies to get diapers in the warehouse. And so from the time Susan and I basically took over as co-executive directors, we were helping around 3,500 kids a month, maybe moving around 375,000 diapers out of the warehouse, and just through the partnership of increasing awareness. Kind of stepping up our game in terms of the fundraising events, and then just having a little bit more of a systematic approach to working with partner agencies, reaching out to other organizations that would be a good fit to help us get diapers to families. We're now at the point where we're helping 7,000 kids and moving around 550,000 diapers out the door. So yeah. It's a team effort. I mean, it's a team effort within our relationship, within our staff, and just with our community. Without all the volunteers that come in and help us, there's no way that we could move all that quantity of product out. But it's a system of getting diapers to organizations that have other resources that families might need access to.
Hoping they get those wraparound services. Yeah, whether they need food or help with assistance with rent or any of those other opportunities.
And one of the things that we've seen certainly since COVID is that additional emergency funding that families were receiving during COVID. If they were already on some kind of assistance program, there was additional funding being provided. And that really makes a difference. I mean, it was almost an unintended research project, but the numbers bear it out. I mean, there were a lot fewer children being reported as living in poverty. Certainly we were doing a lot of diaper distributions and drive-through distributions and that type of thing. But after those supplemental funding went away from COVID and went back to the original amounts, that's when we started seeing the numbers just tick up higher and higher.
And what we're seeing is two-parent households that are needing help, just needing that little bit of assistance to help them get through.
Kind of push through a little bit. Because if you're a working parent and your child attends daycare or an early learning program, you have to provide the diapers. And that's a real struggle for some families. And it's hard for the parents, it's hard for the caregivers at the daycare center because it's awkward, you know, it's like, sorry, your child can't come today, there's no diapers. And I have talked to daycare providers who have had to have that conversation, so it's hard. So one of the, it's not exactly a new initiative, but it's one that we're expanding a little bit more deeply into, is working with some nonprofit early learning centers, daycare providers, to help get them in our program so that families who are enrolled there can count on having diapers at the center. And then parents only need to, I say only, but then they're only, worrying about having diapers for when they're at home and weekends.
Where do your diapers come from?
So the majority of our diapers we purchase with that buying power. Okay. We're able to take your $10, $15 and buy 2 times that amount of diapers with that buying power that we have. We'll get about 1 million diapers donated to us throughout the year. Whether that comes from some of those manufacturers that donate a truckload of diapers here or there. But most of it, all of the donated diapers will come from folks that will do a diaper drive instead of a child's birthday party for us and those kinds of things.
So going back to your leadership style here, I mean, obviously you're doing a lot of the operations and grant writing. Susan, what's your focus?
So my focus is pretty much on fundraising, marketing, and our finance side of the operations. So we did hire a development manager a couple of years ago. Prior to that, I was doing all of the fundraising for it, and Elizabeth was doing the grant writing once she came on staff. But yes, it's been, and then just finding partnerships. It's like our partnership with Channel 9 to do Diaper Madness in March. That was something that I had seen another diaper bank do that was really associated with the Kentucky Derby. And we knew that Kansas City really didn't do the Kentucky Derby that much. And at the time, our marketing manager said, but we do basketball, so can we do something around March Madness? And Channel 9 picked us up as one of the 5 charities that they support throughout the year. And that was a good and a bad thing. Great because it gave us great exposure. Because of the great exposure, a lot of communities then started calling to say, when could we be in their community to provide diapers? So there are 9 diaper banks in the state of Missouri. Okay. So 3 large, Kansas City, the Diaper Bank of the Ozarks, and Diaper Bank of St. Louis. And then several smaller diaper banks, Columbia, Just City, the Boot Hill, among some, Osage City and those. We virtually cover 102 counties in the state of Missouri, but there still is that diaper desert north of us. And so 2 years ago, we started serving our friends in St. Joe, Maryville, through Chillicothe, Lexington, Gallatin, Trenton. There's us and one small diaper bank in Topeka that served Kansas side. So we serve Wyandotte and Johnson County in Kansas, but we're now also serving Lawrence through Just Foods and Leavenworth through Stronghold Food. And those families in Leavenworth, we're serving military families as well. Hoping that we can spread our wings a little bit further, but our core mission is to serve our 6-county area here in Kansas City.
So on dynamic duo leadership. You before we got filming, you said that you were referred to as
We're a package deal.
We are a package deal. Yes.
Okay, so let's look at what that looks like. I mean, I don't know of any other organization that has a co-executive director partnership the way
There are a couple,
Okay.
but I would tell you that, and this is my opinion, and Elizabeth can share hers. I think the reason that we work so well together is we do talk quite often. We know each other's style. I think that we bring out the best in each other. Neither one of us have an ego, and so I think the beauty of neither one of us have to always be on top. We're supporting each other 110%. And the bottom line is it's about the organization. It's not about Elizabeth and me. And our goal is really to put ourselves out of business. And I believe that that's what every nonprofit in the city should be striving to do, is to put themselves out of business. Do we ever think that that's going to happen? Probably not. So we're here, and we're going to try to figure out a way to work the way that it works.
Well, and I'm guessing because you have such a long friendship and history together, you know each other quite well. So, question for both of you, and you can each answer it separately, but what's one thing that inspires you about the other and their leadership style?
Well, I will start because while I feel like I can do numbers, Elizabeth is so thoughtful in diving into just the why of what we do, and why that is so important is on my side, being able to talk to that when I go out and speak with individuals or organizations. I think we have a secret sauce at HappyBottoms, is that we know exactly the people that we are serving, and we can tell a great story. But it's her just tenacity of getting in and knowing the why of things. Sometimes it's not my forte to do that, and I kind of like skim over that. I would do it if I have to, but sometimes, it's just not.
Those are just a bunch of numbers.
Elizabeth.
But I'm like, why is that? That's a really interesting.
I think
why
it's
is that
also
number
the
doing
curiosity
that?
that we have.
Curious. We are both. That is, yes, we are both curious. It's like we want to know, why is this happening? Who is that person? What do we know about that person, and what do we need to tell them about HappyBottoms? But so for Susan is always thinking about like the relationship. I mean, I think a lot about the relationships, but Susan thinks about the relationships, and this sounds like so almost minor, but it's not. It's like Susan will be like, well, did you take a picture? Did you do that? I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like so into whatever I was like talking or looking at, I will like forget to take the picture or forget to try to, I have to go backtrack and sleuth to figure out who I was, talking to or something like that. So it's like, I tease her. I was like, that's why you do what you do, because like somebody will always have to remind me.
Well, and I think it's something that we try to impart on our team as well. It's like being inquisitive of what you do. I would assume, Catherine, that in your line of work as well, it's like what motivates people to do, what motivates a person to buy a new home, or what is that motivates them in order to be able to sell them the things. We're the same way. I mean, it's like, what is motivating somebody to say yes to us, to either give us a large sum of money or make a $5 monthly donation? It's like, who are these folks that are, what has made them say yes to us asking?
And we do, we really do value relationships. I mean, there are not just vendors and donors too, but just volunteers and just people we know from years and years ago that we've worked with a lot at the Children's Center for the Visually Impaired. At some point we're like, well, we need to talk. We need to tell you about what we're doing now, and we need help with XYZ. And so
many of those folks followed us.
And so many folks did follow us. So we have some, and we appreciate, we certainly appreciate it because we've worked, if like for some of the vendors, we've worked with them before. And so it's like really easy to keep that going.
Well, I think that's also a testament to you both if you were able to get people to follow you.
Yeah.
And that speaks to your leadership style.
In some ways, there's kind of a little bit of a comfort to it, and just knowing that, for this part of the business, we've worked with these people before and we know we can count on them and they can count on us to, pay our bills and say what we're going to say we're going to do, that type of thing. And that can be a big deal, because we know of some circumstances that it's just been hard for people taking over a department or an organization to try to build an infrastructure. And so we had some leg up, basically.
But I think we were also extremely fortunate that we had several incredible mentors along the way that showed us what it was like to be a good leader, to be good stewards of people's money. To say what we were going to do and actually do what we said we were going to do.
Exactly.
And I think that has paid dividends for us.
There is, it's been quite a few years ago, but there was a discussion in a meeting, something with, I don't know what, development, fundraising, something. And I said, well, we have to do it that way. We weren't raised to not do it that way. And
they looked at it like it's funny.
Looking at me like, what are you talking about? You weren't raised that way. I was like, oh, I mean, like in our former jobs of not being in non-for-profits, we weren't raised to not do that. And so they were like, but that, Susan understood what I meant. Yeah. I was like, well, she's like, no, we would always, and it may have been something about, I don't know what, how many times to thank somebody, or I don't know what, or picking up the phone and calling them to thank them or something. But that is really true. Yeah. We had a good upbringing.
We did.
So who were some of those mentors, and what were some of the leadership styles that you've carried through to your own leadership?
Well, I would say right off the bat, Mary Lynn DeLimbo, who was the former executive director at CCVI for over 33 years, was probably the one that shaped both of us.
Shaped both of us. She was very, she was very masterful at times when we were like, what is she doing? And this is crazy. And there was a method, and it was not always obvious, but she understood people really well. And so there are a lot of things that we learned from her.
She was great. After Mary Lynn retired, Nicola Heskett, who was a board president and then took over as executive director, also, really had a lot of good skills and just good wisdom to share. So we were blessed to have both of those ladies.
And from a leadership standpoint, how would you each define your leadership style? Because I know we've had some little jokes about how people view you, Elizabeth. But what's your idea of leadership, and what do you feel like
for me, I hope I lead by example. I want to try to empower them to be better than me. And I also, again, it gets back to, it strives back to that being curious and kind of what they're doing. I try to push them as much as possible to kind of, I want them to be self-starters. I want them to be curious. I want them to take on more responsibility and not rely totally on me. And especially because I think both Elizabeth and I think that I would like to continue to work for another 5 to 6 years. But then we are seriously looking at, the succession planning of what does that look like for the organization, and not leaving the organization in a lurch, so to speak. So I think my leadership style is trying to empower my side of the staff, and honestly, just any of the staff that we touch, to just stand on their own 2 feet and bring, they're going to be the ones that they're working things day to day. Sometimes we don't see things. And so we have a very open door policy. If there is something that they feel like we should be doing a different way, we are going to sit down and listen. And I think a lot of that comes on my side from the fact that I worked in a family business for most of my life before I got into nonprofit. And so really having the opportunity to learn from my dad and my uncle was really hugely important as well.
Elizabeth?
I would echo that. I mean, I think a lot of it is just empowering staff, be curious, ask a lot of questions. I think it's just asking questions and empowering them to just go do it, and I will give you all, I will give you all the tools, but please ask the questions, because it is a balancing act sometimes of giving that nudge to empower, and certainly not wanting to micromanage. So we kind of straddle that line every day, but we are actively, that's a big project that we're working with our executive committee, is laying the groundwork for succession planning and what's the next generation. I'm not that old.
What is it going to look like?
What's it going to look like, and how does that, giving folks the ability to take it away, and Susan and I,
because when you think about it, it's
I'm like coming from the person who used to be the part-time grant writer.
Go back to part-time.
But it is that because we do assume and take on multiple hats. With Elizabeth grant writing and doing operations and program, and me on the fund development side and marketing side. It is like, okay, when we leave, how many employees are they going to have to hire to fill our shoes?
Yes. And that's something that we really, that
it's
we're
stressful
really working on
and thinking about.
So are you trying to train your current team to do a lot of the roles that you are currently doing?
Not exactly that part yet. Okay. What we're really working on now is kind of talent identification and
where they want to be.
And identifying what does the organization need in terms of what are all the hats that we're wearing.
Yeah. I'm chuckling only because I'm not sure that our staff would want to work the hours that Elizabeth and I work on a daily or weekly basis.
And that is a thing, yes. That is a thing.
How much of your role is, obviously you're both here today, but how much of your day-to-day is done together versus block and tackle and each taking things to get?
We do try to block and tackle quite a bit, because if we didn't, we
wouldn't.
It was gets to the point too where we say it's like, oh my God, I can't do another meeting together. We've got things we have to do.
We do. There are certainly meetings that we need to be at together, and part of it is just a built-in that we always meet together once a week.
Okay.
But a lot of it is pretty much divide and conquer and make sure, just cover all the bases. I am very
There are times that I drop the ball and I don't share sometimes, and she'll go, is there something you want to tell me? It's like, oh yeah, I forgot I need to give you that information. And then she assumes, really and then it gets her in trouble.
I'm really good. We are, because
the crystal ball.
I'm really good at. I'm pretty good at just other board members or somebody will start talking to me about something, and I'll just listen. And
then she'll go,
okay, I think I know where she's headed. Okay, I'll figure that out. We don't rat on each other. Oh, we forgot to tell each other that.
So you meet once a week.
We do.
Is that just goal planning? Is it just catching up? What does that meeting look like?
It's all leadership. Of it. Yeah, it's a leadership meeting. We also bring in our director of finance. Really kind of okay, where, what's our cash flow look like? Where we were, you know, Catherine, if we did not get any donated diapers, we would have to purchase this year, with the number of diapers that are going out the door, we would have to purchase $1.2 million worth of diapers. So almost 6 million diapers out the door. And so our finance director is really the one that shares with Elizabeth and I on a weekly basis, like, where are we? What do we have? We want to have a cash reserve of almost 2.5 months of funding in. We have a small quasi endowment fund that we try not to tap into if we absolutely don't need to. But that finance director is really, her role is also keeping us aware of where there are opportunities to buy diapers, purchase diapers at a reduced cost, really looking at if we had to rewrap, if we're buying in bulk and we have to rewrap diapers, you know, is it more cost effective if we go ahead and purchase those diapers in packs of 25? That then gives us an opportunity to bring in scout groups and families that can put stickers on in our warehouse. We don't allow kids under 18 to use any of our big equipment, just safety reasons and everything. So it really is a strategic kind of plotting, so to speak, to work with our volunteer managers, to work with our warehouse staff, to work with our program staff. It's like, where do we need things? And then that in that leadership meeting, we can talk about, yes, we want to go ahead and purchase these diapers at this cost, and we know that these are going to be out the door in so many months. And that just gives us a leg up on knowing kind of what she's thinking, what we're thinking, and then we can take that back. Every month we have a staff meeting to bring staff involved and around. And then throughout the month, we each have one-on-one meetings with our staff, just to kind of like, what are you up to?
Where are we? What are you worried about?
Yeah. What's giving you heartburn, because maybe we don't have heartburn, but you do, and we need to know about that.
I think they save all the heartburn for us.
I think so too.
We're going to switch gears a little bit, but I want to kind of tap into, obviously the series is called Hype Girl Energy. What fills each of your cups?
Oh, goodness sakes. I think for me, it's obviously having a big win for the organization, whether that is landing diapers at a reduced cost, whether that is landing a major gift. You know, I am blessed that I have had great friendships in our community, and so to be able to go out and have coffee with some of my friends and share needs that our organization has, and then turn around the next day and have them call to say, why don't you, I'll send you a check out of our foundation, go do what you need to do. Just really, you know, it's there for me.
She's a rainmaker.
And honestly, you know, it's funny because we went through this whole, the whole, you know, 5 languages of love for our staff on a work-based level and everything. And honestly, you know, mine is just acts of kindness. And to me, getting those wins from donors is a huge plus for me. That's what just totally always, and being able to come back and share it with staff and yeah, I open up an envelope and, you know, checks, I do the mail, and, you know, there's lots of times that we're doing our money dance at the warehouse because we've gotten a gift that we didn't think we were going to get, or we got more than what we thought we were going to get, and it just is heartwarming.
Kansas City is a very generous
Oh my
community.
gosh, Catherine, you are.
Yeah.
It is amazing how much people give.
Yes.
And just, it's a big small town, and
Yes.
people, you know people and want to help. I think I'm a curious person, and I'm a helper, and so a lot of times it's like, you know, I feel good at the end of the day if I know I have done as much as I possibly could squeeze into the day to move the needle. and sometimes it's very imperceptible when it moves.
Sometimes
and
you go home and work a little bit more.
And sometimes I have to work a little bit more. But I mean, there are, you know, I mean, the numbers notwithstanding, in terms of just, I truly look at the numbers and I just see baby faces. Some people are like, you are nuts, but that's okay. But that, you know, I have the privilege of doing a lot of our outreach and meeting caregivers, meeting parents, meeting other organizations that are trying to help people and provide resources. And we're all in it having the same goal, is to try to help people just live their lives. And, you know, truly nobody really wakes up every morning going, gee, you know, I'm gonna go see if I can get some free diapers or some free food. It's really difficult. It's a really difficult emotional, self-esteem. There's all sorts of stuff wrapped up in it, and it's hard for parents to come out and say, you know, I need help, because you don't like to have that feeling that you're not a good caregiver to your child. So we have really worked hard to you know, maintain the premise of how HappyBottoms was established, of having people go to organizations that have other resources that could help them if they need it. Some families go looking for diapers and find other things that could help them, and sometimes it's vice versa. But that's the whole point, is just to get people on, keep them moving, and not have it be a situation where they had to make some really difficult choices, and then they didn't have transportation to go to work, and then they lost their job. And there's
such a cycle,
and there's a fair number of families that we're helping that's actually grandparents taking care of their grandchildren, or other family members taking care of the children because there's things have happened and the parents aren't able to.
I think our mantra too is that we want to give families a hand up, not a handout. And we want to make sure that they are doing that. I think it's also the stories that we hear. I mean, when I first started in August of 2019, we actually provide services to one organization where we go and hand out diapers. And we were missing, at that point, it was before Elizabeth joined the team, we were waiting for the truck to show up with all of the diapers. And this grandmother was there, and she was just telling us a story about how she never thought she would be taking care of her grandchildren, but her daughter happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time and was shot and killed. And she was now taking care of her 3 grandchildren. And the story that she I mean, it's just, those are the things that we hear
and they stick
all
with you.
the
I mean,
time.
that is...
Bring it back to your why.
It does,
exactly.
totally.
Yeah. And so that, I mean, I think, so a lot of, that's kind of what motivates both of us, is, you know, I'm more on the, like, figuring out all the logistics of the diapers and the people being in the right place, and, you know, doing all the outreach and just all that kind of coordination stuff. But there's a story in that, and that's a lot of what I'm passing on to the staff, is like, you know, this is what
you got to know the story.
These are all the numbers, but this is the story that they're telling us. You know, we know that basically 48% of the families we're helping are living in 2-parent households, and that is surprising because a lot of people assume that it's only single mothers that we are providing the most help to. But the majority of the babies that we're helping are living in 2-parent households. Most of them, the great majority of those are employed, and it's just helping them live their lives and keep moving forward, so they can have a great life.
And the other hype girl thing is that Elizabeth is getting really, really good at moving the pallet jack around, and I hop on the fork truck whenever needed.
Amazing.
I am not that great at the pallet jack.
You got to keep some fun in it.
That's right.
You both are very passionate about the organization. You're passionate about the people. You're passionate about the kids community. What do you want your legacies to be on the day you finally decide to officially hand over the torch to the next?
You know, I think I said this earlier. I would love that we've put ourselves out of business, that we have worked legislatively to get things passed, to get funding in place so that families didn't have to worry about diaper need in our community. And we do that, you know, locally, we do that statewide, we do that, you know, federally. That would be a huge win for me, is that we didn't need to find co-executive directors to take on because it's over.
That there were mechanisms in place so that parents could just go get their diapers like everything else that they need to get. And it's not this kind of system of, you know, needing to go, you know, to a church pantry or some organization to get help.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people are really happy being self-sufficient and would prefer not to have to go do all that. But we haven't, you know, culturally, or whatever the word is, we haven't set things up to be that successful yet. But someday,
For everyone to succeed.
We're close to the first leg of the win. Susan's very active, representing HappyBottoms and the Missouri Coalition of Diaper Banks in Jefferson City, pushing for legislation to remove state sales tax on diapers.
And the governor will sign that bill on Thursday.
Feminine
So
hygiene
back
projects.
to our exciting things this
Yes.
week.
Back to
Oh my
exciting this
gosh.
week. So on Thursday, that legislation gets signed into action. And, you know, that is state sales tax. That's not all of the tax.
Yeah,
but it
adds
truly adds up. I mean, it can, for a lot of the families I meet, it's just a few extra dollars that can make the difference between paying that mobile phone bill or putting that gas in the tank to be able to go to work. And for a lot of us who are very fortunate and we can go buy a $5 latte or we can go do whatever, that's a hard thing to wrap somebody's head around. But that for a lot of people, that's a reality, that you really are truly counting your pennies. And if they can even have a little bit of wiggle room, that's a win.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Susan, Elizabeth, thank you so much. This was great.
It was
Thank you
so
for
much
inviting
fun.
us.
So
Wonderful.
fun.